And welcome back to There's Always Next Year podcast. We're here at the Quivira Falls Studios on this beautiful Monday, January 30th, right after the championship games of the NFL. Adam and I got to go out and watch them last night. It was a good time.
It was. It was an exciting game. It was an exciting weekend leading up to it. I'll be honest. I was more excited for these two conference championship games, and I think I'd probably said this last week, but just the quality of teams. The four teams that earned the right to be there absolutely should have been, and obviously in the first game, a little bit of a bummer. Brock Purdy going down right out of the gate. He's been such a good story over the back half of this season, and you know, the whole Mr. Irrelevant title, it was a bummer to see him go down. And then even though he was able to come back in, obviously there wasn't going to be any kind of passing game.
No, they ran the ball the whole second half, it seemed like.
Right. I feel for the 49ers. They had a hell of a year. A lot of guys really consistently contributed to the success. The acquisition of McCaffrey on the back half of the season was definitely a great acquisition. And again, with that dynamic offense, their ability to maybe use him a little less and decrease that likelihood of him getting injured and going down, not being available, I think really was helpful for them. So I feel bad. We learned today that Brock Purdy's going to be sidelined. Yeah, he's got a torn UCL in his elbow, and that's going to be out for about 6 months. So wishing him the best in his recovery.
But he's got, time now to recover and get back to where he was at. And honestly, I think Trey Lance is gone. I think Trey Lance I think they trade him. I think they get rid of Trey Lance and they just start Brock Purdy from here on out.
I'm inclined to agree with you. The way that Purdy handled himself and stepped up, obviously he is surrounded by a lot of talent in San Francisco, and I'm not downplaying that at all. That's a really good offense. And then the defense that comes out and plays, they're going to keep him in a lot of games that other teams might not keep him in. But I've got to agree with you. And I think I said earlier on in the season that I didn't see Trey Lance start. I maybe said I didn't see him ever starting again. That might have been
after he broke his ankle or whatever, and then Garoppolo came in.
After he got hurt earlier this season. Maybe that was a little over the top to say that I don't think he'll ever start a game again. I don't think he'll start a game again, barring something unforeseen, for the San Francisco 49ers.
The crazy thing is you got Garoppolo, who's a free agent, and you got Trey Lance, who probably needs to be moved, and Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy's going to be their starting quarterback next year.
Well, and they've got Brock Purdy for 3 more years guaranteed
on
now.
On a rookie contract.
On a rookie contract from a 7th-round pick. They are not paying him much.
Right.
I would anticipate that if he comes back and plays anywhere near the caliber that he played this year, they'll get him in an extension pretty early on and lock him down as their franchise quarterback in the future.
No, I 100% agree with that. I will say, though, I think we have the 2 best teams going to the Super Bowl. I think the Chiefs and the Eagles are the 2 best teams. They proved that this past weekend. They're going to the Super Bowl, and gosh darn it, I hope the Chiefs can pull it out.
Yeah, I agree with you. The Eagles, in my opinion, have consistently been the number 1 team in football this year. Yeah. They have far exceeded the expectations I had for them this season. Jalen Hurts has played out of his mind. And again, Nick Sirianni's done a really nice job, but their defense has done a really nice job as well. And boy, I know we talked about it after that Titans regular season game, but that A.J. Brown acquisition has just been so big for them.
It was, but this past game, he only had 26 yards. So he did not even contribute that much yesterday at all. And which was crazy because I had a bet on him to get 70 and a half yards, and he didn't do that. And then it was a parlay bet with him and Pacheco. A.J. Brown to get 70 and a half, Pacheco to get 46 and a half, and Pacheco, the Chiefs' total offense did not have more than 42 rushing yards, the whole entire offense.
Yeah.
So that made me a little bit upset, a little frustrated.
Well, I get it being a little frustrating, but to me, especially the Chiefs side of things, that's not shocking. It's not typically the Chiefs running the ball really well that's a marking point of a victory for them.
Right.
But again, that the week before, Pacheco also busted out for a big run,
Exactly.
which certainly probably pushed up that over-under on yardage from what it might have been otherwise.
It did, but also Mahomes, I just thought Pacheco was going to be a way bigger portion of the offense because Mahomes' ankle injury was not, we didn't know what to expect when he was coming into it. So I thought Pacheco was going to be rushing the ball a lot more. And instead, Mahomes looked fine yesterday.
He did.
He looked really good.
Yes. Yeah, he absolutely did. And I don't understand the whole Kelsey debacle in the 24 or 36 hours leading up to the game.
Yeah, that was
what
weird.
did they say? Was his back?
Lower back. He had lower back spasms.
I think that was me. I think that was creating a media stir and nothing else. Personally, he was on the field really early in the first quarter. Did he start the game?
Yes.
Did he start the game on the field?
Did.
I was say I know he was on the field really early in the first quarter, and then he scored the first touchdown of the game.
Yep.
But speaking of Travis. Him and his brother, first brother duo in NFL history to face off against one another in a Super Bowl.
Yep. Pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
And Andy Reid to play against his former team in the Super Bowl. These are big storylines that maybe the NFL is scripted a little bit.
Maybe. The stat that I saw today is Andy Reid is the winningest coach in Philadelphia Eagles football history.
Oh, he is?
Yes.
Okay. I can see
And
that.
with this win, to my understanding, if he were to win this game in 2 weeks,
Yep.
this win would put him as number one for wins as a head coach in Chiefs history,
That makes sense.
if I read the stat correctly. So to add to those implications and to those storylines for it,
Yeah.
kind of fun statistic. Pretty crazy to think about, but even crazier it's still shocking to me that Andy Reid never wound up winning a Super Bowl in Philly.
Right.
He had some really good teams up there, and obviously he
went
one
to
of the best coaches to ever
NFC
do.
Championship game 4 times in a row.
Yes.
Went to the Super Bowl once,
Yes.
but just couldn't finish the job.
Yeah, they had good teams in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
They
Donovan
were
McNabb.
they were fun to watch. Terrell Owens. They were really fun to watch. So obviously it's a credit to Andy Reid and how good he's been. I don't know how many total conference championships I'm guessing this obviously at least 9. But maybe double-digit conference championships that he's
So
dug
I
into.
guess if you had to pick a team, to win the Super Bowl between the Chiefs and the Eagles, who you picking?
I've got the Eagles 28-24.
Okay. I'm going to go Chiefs, obviously. I'm a Chiefs fan, but
You
Chiefs, am I? Yeah, I think I am.
Okay.
Chiefs 28-21.
28-21 Chiefs. Maddie?
Yeah, sticking with the Chiefs. I got a Super Bowl bet on the line, so not backing down. Score by a touchdown. It's going to be close. It's going to be a good game.
If you would have told me that between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs, if the Chiefs were going to have 5 sacks and 2 interceptions against Joe Burrow, I would have said the Chiefs were going to win by 10 points. Instead, they only win by 3. But let's listen to what Travis Kelce has to say about this win and about all the shit talk that the Cincinnati Bengals were going on about this whole past week.
I appreciate you. How about this beautiful trophy? Huh? Hey, I got some wise words for that Cincinnati mayor. Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni. You gotta fight for your right to party!
You love to see it. You love to hear it. You love to see it. You love the energy that Travis Kelce brings, and you see Patrick Mahomes right there next to him. What a team.
Hey, they've continued to do it and put themselves in position to get it done, and there's one final step.
You got to win the Super Bowl.
That's right.
Yep.
But you were kind of teeing off a little bit a minute ago, talking about the NFL being scripted and some maybe some things that have been highlighted by local media personalities across following this weekend. But is the NFL scripted?
So,
did they want to did they want to put these teams here?
I think they did. I think it is maybe a little bit scripted. I think the referees, obviously the Cincinnati fans have been talking shit on the whole referees all day today. I think,
to be clear, it's not just Cincinnati fans that are addressing this.
Okay, Bills fans, Cincinnati fans.
I'm not talking about fan bases. I'm talking about within the media.
Oh, well, yes. But, I mean, you look at it, Andy Reid playing his former team, Kelsey brothers coming together. I mean, those are big...
Starting their podcast this year.
Right.
Starting their podcast
to
this
me,
year.
that was a really interesting factor. And obviously that podcast has garnered a lot of national attention. They're both really entertaining.
Right.
I think a lot of us, maybe outside of the Philadelphia area, obviously we know Travis Kelce. We see Travis Kelce all the time. But I think a lot of us maybe didn't really know much about Jason Kelce besides the fact that he was Travis's brother up to this point.
Yeah.
I personally hadn't ever, heard him talk a lot or watch post-game interviews. I knew he'd been with the team a long time. I knew he was a Pro Bowl offensive lineman, but I couldn't have told you a whole lot more beyond that.
I mean, I remember him making a big speech after they won the Super Bowl back in 2017. Does that sound right? When they won the Super Bowl, when Philadelphia won the Super Bowl back in 2017, he was dressed up in the, French outfit. Do you remember seeing that clip?
No.
Okay. Well, he was dressed up in like this big French outfit. He had this big hat on, and he was out there and made this big speech. But other than that, yeah, don't remember him at all, like talking at all a lot. But he was also, I mean, I've watched their podcast pretty good, and it's pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, no, I've watched clips of it and followed along with it a little bit. No, they're both very entertaining. I think Jason's really funny. And I think kind of knowing that they were raised in the same household, the different, they've both got really good senses of humor and have good back and forth rapport with them. But they're both kind of very different as well. Obviously, Jason's more just kind of the casual, laid-back guy. Travis is the guy that needs all the fancy designer everything and has always got the sunglasses and the colorful outfits and the stuff that I personally don't understand, which I'll dip into that in a second.
Jason is more like the dad type, the dad bod. He's got the dad bod going on. He's got the New Balance shoes.
I feel like
those white New Balance shoes.
Travis is like East or West Coast, and Jason's very Midwest, which is funny.
Yeah,
because Travis plays for Kansas City and Jason plays for Philly.
That's true, but they both grew up in Ohio, so
that's true.
Interesting.
Cleveland Heights, Ohio, hence the name of the podcast.
There you go,
The Heights.
Yep.
But the one thing I did want to touch on, and it's not specific to Travis Kelce. Fortunately, up to this point, who knows, maybe I'll eat my words in 2 weeks. I hope I don't. But I've seen this very upsetting trend recently, and I've posted it at least once or twice on the TANY Pod Instagram page. But I don't understand what this new fashion trend is with getting a knitted ski mask, more or less.
Yeah.
I saw Stephon Diggs doing it, walking in the game, which, by the way, followed with an L. But there was somebody else that just did it that I just saw within the last day or two as well. And I don't understand it. You look like you're trying to rob a bank. Somebody help me understand it. I know I don't understand fashion. I know I'm the same guy that walks around in a ball cap and a t-shirt and jeans and boots as much as I possibly can. I don't get it. Somebody help me make it make sense.
Well, I'm not the guy to help you make that make sense.
That's why I wasn't looking at you or asking you when I said that. It's so weird to me. And again, not that I understand a lot of fashion.
Did that maybe come from like the NBA? Because like when NBA players go into their games, they're dressed up all weird and crap too. So I don't know.
Well,
is it bleeding into the NFL now?
Maybe. I have no idea. But it was puzzling to me when I first saw it, and it continues to be puzzling to me.
Well, yeah. I mean, sorry, Stephon Diggs. You lost again. I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. But basically, what's kind of going on in the NHL world these days?
If you're referencing a couple of storylines that have happened recently, for those of you that might not be familiar, there is something called the EBUG, and the EBUG in hockey references an emergency backup goalie. It doesn't happen very often, but what typically transpires is a team has a goaltender go down due to injury, and they haven't had a chance to call somebody up yet due to the player being, across the country playing for the minor league team that they're currently playing for, or a situation where maybe a player's wife is expecting a baby or some sort of family emergency where they kind of leave without notice. Often these teams will have to track down somebody locally to step in and be a backup goalie in case their existing goaltender goes down with injury or something happens.
Right.
It's much like the NFL having typically 2 to 3 quarterbacks on your active roster. You're typically going to have 2 goalies on your active bench available during games. Your starting goalie and then your backup. So the Edmonton Oilers had a situation earlier this past week where they had an emergency backup goalie that had to be called up, had to be suited up and put on the roster. And it's always kind of fun because these goalies that are in the league regularly have their pads that are color coordinated with their jerseys, and they've got it all planned out, and it's pretty cool to see what some of these guys do with their face masks and all this. The paint jobs they do on it are incredible if you've never looked into it. But you got this guy who his name was Matt Berlin, and he wound up getting called in at the end of the game.
With like 3 minutes left or something like that.
Yes, for the Edmonton Oilers to knock off the Chicago Blackhawks. But you usually see this about maybe once, maybe twice a year. So these guys are guys that work normal, everyday jobs. You've seen guys that are like accountants and financial advisors who just get the call and they're like, all right, I'm going to go grab my pads.
Right.
I've got to get to the arena. And especially in scenarios where, you might be on the road, it gets even trickier. Trying to find somebody in a city you're not familiar with.
Well, I thought I was, I did a little bit of research on this earlier today, and I thought like the home team has to have the EBUG, designated backup goalie.
Emergency backup goalie.
And they can play for either team?
That very well could be the case. Okay. Is that what you?
That's what I read earlier today.
So they just have
a guy in the stands or whatever
in the city,
in the city that he can be the backup goalie for either team.
Interesting.
The home team has to have that guy. So
okay, well that would make sense as well. Why Matt Berlin wound up there,
right?
But always fun, they get these post game interviews and these guys are like, yeah, should be fun going back to my normal day job tomorrow. But this guy. He just got to play a game of hockey with 2 guys that are going to be Hall of Famers in Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
How much do you think they get paid for, like, just showing up for 3 minutes of one game?
It's probably a 1 day or a 1 week contract. I'm sure they get paid pretty handsomely for their efforts.
Yeah.
I would say it's probably somewhere between at least 10 to 20 grand for the night.
That's a good night.
Not to mention you get to suit up for an NHL game.
Right.
Just a brief hiatus from your normal 9 to 5.
Yeah. No, that's nice.
It's certainly something that's a fun little aspect of hockey. You don't really see anything like that in other sports for the most part.
Right.
The closest thing we see to that is seeing Josh Johnson in the NFC Championship yesterday.
Right.
But pretty entertaining when it happens and fun for those guys and to kind of follow those storylines for sure.
No, for sure. Speaking of fun storylines, did you see the Uber Eats guy walk into the Duquesne
yes.
game?
Duquesne. Yes. I had to figure out how to pronounce Duquesne earlier. But the Duquesne Loyola game last week, we'll play the clip for you here in a second. But for those of you that didn't see, they got an unexpected guest mid-game on the court.
Yeah. Let's play the clip. But what is that guy doing? Walking in on the court in the middle of a basketball game? It's crazy.
I'm not putting it on the guy at all.
Somebody came on the floor on the far side. Looking for an Uber Eats delivery or something there. Is carrying some McDonald's.
Oh, this has to be one of the all-time
I'm
greats.
actually not kidding.
This is the truth.
I think that's what's happening.
This guy's in the corner. Looked like was he going to deliver the McDonald's to somebody on the court? Can we rule that out? I mean,
I think that's an Uber Eats sticker. Is that what that is? I'm trying to get confirmation.
Yeah.
Uber Eats, yes.
Yes.
Maybe I'll put my hand up. I'm getting a little hungry. You can bring it over here.
Hungry.
So we saw the stoppage. The man was Usher. Let's see if we can see this. No, this is going to be the turnover in the
There
corner.
he is, right there in the corner. Yay.
So this guy's actually, who's he delivering it to?
The ref.
The
the ref
official?
said later. Give it to me
Give it to
later.
me later.
Not now.
Philip Alston's done a lot. I didn't think he needed a Big Mac for sustenance in the middle of the game.
I know, but I'm not. Well, the official out there, Tim, he distanced him like, I didn't say now. Later. That's got to be unbelievable. That's got to be something that the highlight shows are going to have a blast with. Dude showed up to deliver hamburgers while the game was going on and stepped on the court, Tim.
Yeah, so that's pretty freaking crazy.
Yeah. Now, I was thinking this through and thinking to myself, okay, how does this happen?
My conspiracy would be that Uber paid him to do it.
You know,
Yeah.
Very possible. It's great. If so,
Real
it's
good
great
advertising right there.
marketing.
Yeah.
Great marketing. You know, most people that are watching that are sitting at home. So I know I am also susceptible to occasionally door dashing or utilizing Uber Eats, maybe a little bit more than I should. But, you know, I was thinking about it, and I know that when I was a kid, and this is typically going to be more the case with older facilities that are older venues that are housing these games.
Right.
But, you know, Allen Fieldhouse is a perfect example. Allen Fieldhouse is a really old facility that has had some upgrades over the years, but is still the bones of what it was built as.
Right.
And, you know, when I was a kid, I remember at one point my family went over to Lawrence and we were walking around and we walked into Allen Fieldhouse. It was just a weekday, probably in like March or something like that.
You just walk in.
And we could just walk in.
Yeah.
And furthermore, we were able to walk just right through, right out onto the floor.
Yep.
There was no locked doors. There was no security. And even at the time, I vividly remember there was a rack of basketballs. I think that maybe the women's team had just gotten done practicing.
Okay.
But there was just a rack of basketballs. I literally just grabbed one and shot
Took
a couple.
shot? Hell yeah.
Shot a couple shots there on the court at Allen Fieldhouse as like a 12-year-old kid. And that was pretty cool.
That is cool. 100%.
But a lot of these old stadiums, I think just based on the way they're constructed, there's probably not that many ways to move around in it. And if somebody, you know, if a security guard steps away for a second or something,
Right. You
it's
walk
not
right on in.
It's not unforeseen. I know at K-State games, there was a K-State game. I walked right onto the field at the Bill, and it took people about 5 minutes to realize that I didn't have a pass hanging from me anywhere that said I had any reason to be on the field, and I was just standing there on the field.
I mean, I'll tell you, like, I ran track in college, so like we
Wait,
would
you
go.
did?
Yeah, we would go to KU for some indoor games or indoor meets, and we would walk over to Allen Fieldhouse, and same exact story that you kind of pretty much just said. We'd walk onto the court and just walk around and go to the Hall of Fame that they have in Allen Fieldhouse there, and it was cool.
Right.
But like, yeah, there's the doors aren't locked. You can just get in there. So maybe something like that happened, and he didn't know who he was delivering to or what was going on. But
I'd be pretty confused if I walked out and that was what I saw. If indeed it was genuine.
Right, but I mean, like, it's a basketball game going on, and he could obviously tell when he walked in that there was a basketball game going on. Why is he walking onto the court? Like, if that was me, I would be like very much so.
You've got to keep
what is happening,
but you've got to keep in mind. Put yourself in the mind of, again, this is going on the basis of hypothetically this is authentic. This is not a marketing ploy or anything, and this guy legitimately was trying to deliver something.
Yeah.
Think about Uber drivers and all the different places they have to deliver things.
That's true, I guess, yeah.
I mean, you've got to kind of stumble your way through it. And some people are idiots and order stuff and then don't look at their app to realize it's getting delivered. I like my food way too much. So I'm just like chomping.
Looking at your app.
I'm chomping at the bit wondering why it's taking so damn long to get to me.
Right.
But for some people that might not be as aware, I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
So do you think it was the referee that was ordering the food, or was it?
No, I don't think
it was the referee?
I don't think it was the referee ordering the food. But that is sure nice to hypothesize.
Oh, that's crazy. But
all right, well, after having a good laugh during that segment, we'll probably take a break on laughing for a second. Now for Mike's dad jokes.
I think you guys are gonna laugh. I put a lot of effort into these again this week, so let's see what happens. What do you call a cow in an earthquake?
Ground beef.
Nope, just a milkshake.
That's close.
Pretty funny, right? What did the horse say after it tripped?
Nay. Horse shit.
Nope, just help. I've fallen and I can't giddy up. Okay. What do you call a masturbating cow?
Bruh.
Is this a your mom joke?
No. Just beef stroganoff.
Stupid.
That sounds more like a bull masturbating.
Well, yeah. A lot of livestock jokes here this week, boys.
Well, if
You
we're
really
talking,
committed.
hey, you know what though? If you're talking beef,
Whopper, 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 Junior, Double,
Triple Whopper.
Possible or Bacon Whopper, I rule this day.
BK, have it your way.
and
Oh, shoot.
going on with kind of crazy hockey storylines, following the EBUG discussion. For those of you that don't follow a lot of hockey, there are a couple other traditions that are definitely would be very foreign to people that specifically follow like football and baseball and basketball. One of which was originated with the Detroit Red Wings back in the early 1950s. There were some individuals who owned a market that were big Red Wings fans. The Red Wings were in the Stanley Cup in 1952.
Okay.
And they began a tradition of throwing octopus onto the ice during these games.
Interesting.
And it started in Detroit. There have been a number of different cities that have embraced this tradition and made it their own. Personally, for me, you may recall there was one about 5 years ago. The Nashville Predators were really relevant and big at the time.
Yep.
And I distinctly remember there was this tradition of catfish being brought in and utilized and thrown onto the ice. And I vividly remember this image of Taylor Lewan, the offensive lineman for the Tennessee Titans, who is also one of the co-hosts of the Bussin' with the Boys podcast. Him and his other big, burly offensive lineman teammates were up in a booth somewhere, and they're holding up these big old catfish, and he just has this big old can of beer, and he's dumping it in the mouth of this catfish as they're celebrating this like Western Conference Finals Predators game. And for those of you that may not know, Nashville, if you ever get the chance, if you're ever in Nashville, obviously Broadway is hopping Broadway's a place to go. Check it out. There's the bar and live music scene there.
Right.
But right on that same stretch in Broadway is Bridgestone Arena, where the Nashville Predators play. And if you've never been to a hockey game or you've never been to a Nashville Predators hockey game, they call it Smashville for a reason. Great place to see a game, great atmosphere, a lot of fun. You wouldn't expect Nashville to necessarily be a big hockey city.
Right.
But two places, the one other place that I'd think of that you wouldn't think of is the Carolina Hurricanes in Raleigh.
Yeah.
That's a great atmosphere as well if you ever get a chance to go out there.
You've been to games at both those places?
I haven't been to one in Carolina. I've been to a couple in Nashville. But just from watching games and what I've followed, Carolina, especially over the past couple of years, they've been a really strong team.
Yeah.
That have made decently late playoff runs. And boy, those fans are electric out there in Carolina.
Yeah, no, that 100%. And I mean,
So, is there a designated time for throwing these animals onto the ice?
That's a great question.
And does this hurt the
I
animals?
mean, I know like you throw hats onto the ice when a guy gets a hat trick. But I've never honestly heard about throwing octopuses or.
To my understanding, the animals are no longer living.
Correct.
When they're thrown
so they
onto
can't be hurt further.
Correct. Yeah, they're.
But just think about
their fate has already been sealed.
Holding
at this
a dead
point.
octopus in your bag or in your coat, like you gotta smell bad, right?
Yes.
Like, and you're holding that through 3 periods of an NHL
do they do
game.
it at the end or before? I don't know.
I don't know. From what I saw this past week, the Red Wings threw it in the 3rd period. So like they were holding that for probably 2 hours.
Maybe the arena like has a place you can check in your dead animals like before the game, and then
Yeah.
at the 3rd period you can go retrieve them.
A reptile check as opposed to like a coat check.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't think fish or octopus are reptiles, but
So we've seen Devils fans throw a lobster and a dead fish and other objects. I think that just more highlights New Jersey and their people.
Yeah.
They're just throwing random dead objects on. There's no continuity amongst the fan base. They're just kind of just doing trashy things.
Right.
see, it sounds more fun than soaking yourself in ketchup and mustard before a game.
It definitely does.
Definitely does.
I don't know if it sounds more fun than jumping through a table, though.
I don't. You could hurt yourself if you jump through a table, off of like a truck bed, like onto a table. I don't know. I don't want to get a broken collarbone jumping onto a table.
I'd like to think that. Now, never mind. I'm not going to say something stupid because I'm going to come away with a broken collarbone.
There it is.
What's interesting to me is, and I'm sure there have been cases of this, but no, I'm having trouble finding an actual time of the game where this is occurring. Matt, as I'm looking through it, because I looked through that earlier, but it's not saying like, hat tricks. You throw hats after 3 goals. And maybe some of the time that's been factored in with like hat tricks as well. But with these different teams doing it, the Sharks at one point, a 3-foot leopard shark was thrown onto the ice. I feel like at some point PETA gets involved in all of this.
I can't believe they haven't.
I feel like there's got to be some storyline of PETA just absolutely losing their shit on this because with the leopard shark, that just seems like, I don't know. Also, imagine smuggling a 3-foot leopard shark in.
Right. Like, again,
Like
where do you put it?
Octopus could be small.
They can.
Like, you could hypothetically put that in, like, depending on how big they are, you could put that in, like, a gallon Ziploc bag or something like that. And technically it doesn't have metal in it, so that wouldn't necessarily settle. That would probably help conceal the smells to some extent. You're still going to smell like dead octopus.
Right.
But if you, like, double bag it or something.
Okay.
But yeah, the idea of going through the process of smuggling that, and I've smuggled things into games before, don't get me wrong.
Like what?
And I did see a buddy of mine actually, who is a Chiefs season ticket holder, who had said last year he had smuggled in a bottle of champagne.
Oh, no kidding.
That he had plans to open.
Just a glass bottle
when
probably?
the Chiefs won. Yeah. But the Chiefs didn't win last year, so he took it home with him. Took it out of the stadium, didn't touch it, saved it, And this year smuggled it in again and posted a picture of him enjoying the champagne in the stands at the end of the game. He had the bottle in his hand.
Hell yeah, brother.
So I thought that was pretty cool as well. But yeah, I'm getting off topic here, obviously.
You're good.
But yeah, fun traditions, interesting smuggling efforts, and hockey, man. That's what makes hockey and their fans just a little bit different than all the other sports.
It's a different sport. It's a different environment, fun environment. Like it's a good time. But just talking about different sports, I mean, basically moving into basketball, I guess, a little bit right now. There's other stuff going on this weekend that included the Big 12 versus SEC Challenge in NCAA basketball. And again, I think we talked about it a little bit last week, just asserted that the Big 12 is dominant in basketball. The number 9 team in the Big 12, Oklahoma, ended up beating the number 2 team in the nation, and the number 1 team in the SEC, but the number 2 team in the nation in Alabama. And I mean, basically just the Big 12 just ran through the SEC. I think they won 7 out of the 10 games that they played, and the 4 teams from the SEC that didn't play were the 4 worst teams in the SEC. So like Big 12 got the best of the SEC, and they just rolled through them.
There was just one matchup that I'd like to highlight of that, though. The Missouri Tigers have a definitive victory over a ranked opponent in the Iowa State Cyclones. MIZ, baby. Love to see it. Keep on playing, Tigers. I'm going to keep not watching you and hope that every time I don't watch you, you continue to have success.
Which I'm so happy for Mizzou with that, but it makes me a little bit sad because K-State lost to Iowa State on Tuesday. So unfortunately, K-State lost to Iowa State, but ended up coming back and getting a victory during Florida.
Mizzou pretty much beat K-State. I mean,
pretty much. Whatever. So a win's a win. But
the transitive property.
But then also moving into the NBA though too. Patrick Beverley, the guy's just a character first and foremost. But basically he plays for the Lakers now, and LeBron got fouled pretty apparently, and Patrick Beverley goes and grabs a camera off of a fan and shows it to the ref to show, hey, look, LeBron got his arm basically, I don't know, beat here.
He got fouled.
Yeah, he got fouled. So, yeah. But Patrick Beverley's been known to do this throughout his whole entire career, and
he's a thespian. He likes putting on antics and getting the camera's attention and getting the referee's attention and making a spectacle out of himself. This is what Pat Bev does. Now, granted, when you're pairing him with LeBron James theatrics, it can be a little bit over the top for the people that this is the issue that they take with the NBA is the flopping and the whining and the...
LeBron was definitely whining a lot, too.
LeBron threw a damn temper tantrum. He was just sitting there. It was like his firstborn had been murdered. He was distraught. He was beside himself. He couldn't believe that the refs had done him so wrong. And what a travesty. You know what, though, man? Like, it's played out. I think Pat Beverley can be entertaining. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
He can be. He could be too much as well. But
I think it's good for the league, though. I think it's good for the league. And the reason I say that is because it's entertaining. I don't watch NBA basketball because it's just a bunch of, we're going to go down here and shoot a 3. Or it's one-on-one. Like, it doesn't seem... It's not fun to watch.
Okay,
but like
so let me ask you this.
When you have things like Patrick Beverley and LeBron, like acting, doing the thespian shit that you talked about, like it makes it more fun.
I would argue that. I don't agree with that at all. So you're telling me that based on watching stuff like that, that makes you want to more tune into a Los Angeles Lakers game?
Maybe not tune into the game, but like I like watching the highlights of that stuff going on.
More WWE like.
Yeah. Scripted.
So I don't know about losing his firstborn or whatever you guys said, but Chandler Parsons, former NBA player, did say that he would be able to watch his French bulldog get ran over by the mailman, and he would not react like that.
Yes.
See?
The way LeBron reacted?
I didn't even know that Chandler Parsons had said that. And that highlights it really. Like, I know you're trying to sell it, but one, they've already made their, like, it's like these soccer players. Like,
Yes.
to me, it's the same thing, though. I don't want to watch it. Like, that deters me from watching a sport. If I see these guys that are losing their mind and rolling around,
Flopping, yeah.
just to get up and start playing like they're fine because we know they're fine. You are a professional athlete.
Right.
Be a little tougher. Stop selling everything. Stop flopping. Play the damn game. And I know it's not going to change. I know this is how the NBA is, and I'm a broken record, and it doesn't matter. And I'm one of thousands and millions of people. I'm preaching to the choir here. But to me, that's everything about, like, Pat Beverly's entertaining, but that LeBron shit is so played out to me that that's every reason that I don't care about the NBA.
And I hear that. And I kind of do agree. I guess the LeBron stuff was a little over the top. But I just think the Pat Beverly stuff was super fucking funny because going into a stand and getting a prop.
The photographer
stunt
stunt was, it had flashes of, like, something Chad Johnson would have done back in the day after a touchdown or something like that. I'll give you that.
Yes.
The entertainment value of that, for me, it just kind of kills me because it has the LeBron aftertaste of it.
Okay, yeah.
If it's not LeBron there,
that.
I don't think that bugs me nearly as much, but it's always something.
Yes.
It's always something.
And yeah, the weird thing is, though, Pat Beverly used to play for the Clippers a couple years ago, if you remember that.
Right.
And he was playing against LeBron, and he was basically just being a dick to LeBron James, and now he's trying to defend LeBron James. So it I don't know. The whole thing just made it super interesting and super fucking funny, in my opinion.
We all love a good character.
Correct.
Yes, or you love to hate it. You know, there's both in this scenario. There's somebody that's a little enjoyable most of the time, and there's somebody that's maybe a little bit more of an antagonist.
Yeah. Speaking of characters, though.
Speaking of antagonists, though, that transitions nicely. We had introduced a new segment last week, the Dick of the Week, and I had two contenders for my Dick of the Week this week, but I wasn't able to gather enough information surrounding the other one for it to be a worthwhile segment. And this guy, we've kind of been steadily getting little tidbits and little pieces of information about this for a while. And this guy's already kind of been on the radar for several months. For people that are like really big golf fans, he's probably been on the radar for longer than that. But as the first individual Dick of the Week from There's Always Next Year, I want to congratulate Patrick Reed. Patrick Reed, you are my Dick of the Week. And the reason for that is because your head is so far up your ass that you have decided to bring these lawsuits and threaten lawsuits against all these big media outlets for allegedly dragging your name through the mud, for going over to live and defecting and doing it for the money, and how your family has suffered and your reputation has suffered, and just the nerve of all these media corporations. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for everything you've gone through. But Patrick seems to think that he's not in the wrong at all, and he has subpoenaed guys that are in the PGA to show up in court and testify.
Yep.
And I don't know very many people that like getting subpoenaed. I don't know very many people that like getting served unexpected court documents. I know I am not among that population.
I don't think anyone would want to be served court documents at all.
But apparently Patrick Reed doesn't have a full grasp on how people typically respond when being subpoenaed or served unexpected court documents, because he had served some court documents to Rory McIlroy.
Yep.
Surrounding these defamation of character lawsuits he's bringing against CNN and NBC and whomever else.
Yep.
And obviously Rory was not terribly receptive to that. Well, they were out in Saudi Arabia, I believe, at some event, or Dubai maybe. I think they were in Dubai.
They played at Dubai this week.
And they were practicing at the range leading up to this event, and at some point, Patrick Reed attempted to engage with Rory.
Basically tried to go give him a handshake.
And he walked over, and Rory didn't give him the time of day and pretty much ignored him.
Yeah.
And so as Patrick Reed's walking away, he proceeds to throw a golf tee at Rory. And the quote that Patrick Reed was quoted as saying was, "If you're going to act like a child, I'm going to treat you like one." And Rory just responded by saying, "I got served with a subpoena because of you. I don't understand why you would think that I'd be interested in having a chat and catching up."
Exactly. I will say, though, the throw of the golf tee was very undramatic. Like, it was very much like, I'm just going to flip a golf tee over at you.
Absolutely. Kind of, and I don't think, from what I've seen, I don't think Rory's made a big spectacle out of him throwing a golf tee.
Yeah, Patrick Reed has.
I think the media probably did. And then Patrick Reed decided, he got asked something about it and decided to make things worse by calling Rory a child in the situation.
Yes.
And subsequently, Patrick Reed comes out with more mud on his face in this whole situation, continues to prove why he is a Dick of the Week caliber individual.
I was just going to say, hence why he's the Dick of the Week this week.
So, again, congratulations, Patrick Reed. You continue to outdo yourself, and we can't wait to see what work you bring to the table next.
100%.
And with that, I think it is time.
It's time.
It's time.
It's that time.
Matt's Hostile Takeover.
All right, I'm calling this one Two-Timing Celebrities.
Two-timing?
Oh, goodness.
And it's not going to be about cheaters, although there's plenty of material for that as well. I look for celebrities that pretty much took on two roles in their lifetime, or roughly, or about. Famous for two things.
No more than two, no less than two?
Mostly two.
Okay.
It's a stretch, but it's going to be interactive. We're going to see if you can follow the train of thought. We're going to start off with hopefully an easy one here. The Apprentice host,
Donald Trump,
became the
president.
Yep. His lawyer, his go-to guy, Rudy
Giuliani.
G. Yeah.
Yep.
Formerly the
mayor of New York.
Yes.
Correct.
Speaking of mayors, do you guys know the former mayor of Cincinnati, what TV show he was also the host of?
The former mayor, not the mayor that was talking all this shit this past week?
Correct.
The former mayor of Cincinnati.
Jerry Springer.
Yes.
Really?
Yes, he was the mayor of Cincinnati.
No shit. I had no idea.
And I think that's why the people of Cincinnati are so fixated on figuring out who Patrick Mahomes' daddy is.
That could be. Yeah, that makes sense. 100%.
Jerry.
Well, it doesn't appear to be Joe Burrow.
No, not this year.
How does a city elect Jerry Springer as their freaking mayor?
Well,
that's the question.
Well, we elected the host of The Apprentice as our president. So if we really want to look at it on a grand scale, and not to hijack the segment at all.
No, this is what I wanted.
I want to ask first, do you have the former governor of Minnesota on there?
I do not.
I'm guessing you've got the former governor of California.
I do not. I know that one.
You talking about Ronald Reagan?
No, that was a president.
Arnold Schwarzenegger?
There you go.
What was the Minnesota governor?
The Minnesota governor was Jesse Ventura, former WWF superstar.
Oh, yeah.
And he got that after being a WWF superstar. Also, going on WWF Superstars, I believe Kane is the mayor of a town in Tennessee.
No kidding.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
But yeah, you got it right with Arnold Schwarzenegger being the former governor of...
But Ronald Reagan was also a movie star and a president.
Ronald Reagan was an actor first and then became president. Yes, that's correct.
All right,
Matt, what else you got?
The longest running daytime game show. You guys know that one?
I would guess The Price is Right.
That's what I was going to say.
That's correct. And the host?
Bob Barker.
Bob Barker. You guys know how old he is?
Well, he's
I
dead.
thought he's dead.
He's not dead.
He's not?
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
I'm pretty sure he is.
I'm pretty sure. Who am I thinking of?
I'm pretty sure Bob Barker's
I thought he
dead.
died.
Well, that's going to be a bummer then.
I'm pretty sure he died.
Who
He's
hosts it
not
now, though?
dead. Not
Who
according
died?
to Wikipedia. I think there was a rumor going around that he had passed.
Maybe it was a rumor. Yeah, could be.
Anyways, if he's still alive, God
Congratulations
bless him.
on still being alive, Bob.
He's 99.
Holy
Okay.
Jesus.
Would be 100 in December.
Do we
so,
think he could still kick Happy Gilmore's ass?
Probably.
Yeah. Anyways, I'll do more homework. But I mean, can you not trust Wikipedia anymore?
Well, anyone can go in there and change that stuff, so I don't think you can trust Wikipedia.
Okay,
Trust,
teacher.
trust it with your life. Trust it with your life.
All right, so who took over for Bob Barker?
That was is it Drew Carey?
Drew Carey.
Yep.
I wanted to say Jim Carey, but Drew Carey. Yep.
Cleveland Rocks.
And what's the other show Drew Carey hosts?
The Drew Carey Show. Well,
No,
he didn't host it. Wait,
It's the whose line is it anyway?
Yep.
does he still host that? Is that still on?
I don't think that's
I
still
don't
on.
think it's still on.
Okay.
I think he still
that's where
does
he-
do hosting on.
I think that's
yeah.
where he kind of started.
Well, that and the Drew Carey
Yes.
Show.
Drew Carey show, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going back and forth in time. I'm just stringing them all together.
I just want to say Drew Carey Show, best theme song of all time, without a doubt.
Whopper, 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 Whopper.
No,
I think that's a good theme song.
that's a jingle. I'm talking about like show
I
theme
guess
song.
I guess that could be a jingle. I guess.
It is a jingle.
All right. What's the host of Survivor?
I don't know that one.
I have no idea.
I never watched Survivor.
All right, that's Jeff Probst.
Okay.
So you guys probably can't tell me what he did before.
No.
Nope.
I'm just kidding. That's all he ever did. Most of these guys get started as comedians and whatnot, but that's really all he's done that's notable.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan went from Fear Factor to podcast host.
And that was my finale.
Damn
Thanks,
it.
Adam.
Sorry.
Yes, because so Survivor used to make people eat gross stuff.
Yep.
Pretty much because of
Fear Factor. Yeah, I wasn't big on Fear Factor. Maybe
No.
that's also
I
why I'm
didn't
not
like
big
it
on
either
Survivor.
because also I didn't like seeing them eat that disgusting ass crap.
Ass crap.
Yes.
Pretty much was, I think.
Ass crap.
I guarantee you they ate poop on there at some point.
That wouldn't surprise me.
That was it. That was the Joe Rogan was the most mind-blowing one I had, so I saved it for last. Young, yeah, and he looks nothing alike. Now he's on roids and working out and bald and has a podcast.
Yes.
Yep.
I can still never decipher him from Dana White.
They look very similar.
They look very similar.
Very similar.
And I had this argument with somebody, and somebody was like, they don't look anything alike. I was like, yes, they do. And they're often in the same room. So it really fucks with me.
And they talk similar too.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
they do.
you.
They talk very similar
They
as well.
absolutely do. But that's neither here nor there. Thank you so much for joining us this week. It's been another good week. As we look forward, obviously, we'll do some more chatter surrounding the upcoming Super Bowl next week. But in the meantime, Instagram, There's Always Next Year podcast. Twitter, Mike, stop doing that with your eyebrows. I'm just unsettled. Twitter, TANY_pod. Facebook, There's Always Next Year.
Smash that like button. Subscribe.
YouTube.
Send us your dog pics.
YouTube. Check us out on all mediums. We should make a link tree.
Also, we're gonna get some TikToks going.
You don't get to say that anymore until you start producing content. You don't get to even mention that TikTok exists.
It's gonna happen.
Nope.
Just wait for it. It's gonna happen.
Oh, they've been waiting. They've had to come up for air every time they've been holding their breath, my brother.
Yep. Well.
And again, give us some reviews, subscribe, hit that like button, and don't forget,
There's always next year.